Hey everyone, welcome to Patriot Soapbox. I give you my commentary on news of the day as reported by the Wall Street Journal. First up, as it turns out, even though it was a good thing for Trump to assassinate General Soleimani of Iran, there tends to be complications when you assassinate a political official. And when I say complications, I mean a lot of rioting, a lot of protesting, a lot of hate from a country where the official was assassinated towards the country that did the assassination. All kinds of bad. But it was a good thing to take out Soleimani because he built a vast terrorist network across the Middle East that killed about they think 600 or so Americans, and with plans to kill thousands more. And he was one of the main reasons for the return of troops to Iraq after they left. They left in 2010. They returned in 2014 to fight ISIS, but they're one of the main. ISIS defeated. He's one of the main reasons that they've stayed. And same with the troops in Afghanistan. So there's now mass protesting across Iran, and Iran said, "That's it. We quit. We quit the deal completely." And when I say deal, I mean the 2015 nuclear deal, which, I mean, it wasn't really a good deal in the first place. But now they've said they're not going to abide by its limits anymore as far as uranium enrichment. And I know I'm crossing from politics into chemistry here for a minute, but it's important. So they can't build a bomb overnight. Obviously, they can't. It's not like tomorrow. Like we see breaking news. It was Iran nukes Israel and America. Because it takes a while. First of all, they need to rebuild their centrifuges. Which, if they get those up and running, they can build a bomb maybe in 6 months or so. And so they need the centrifuges because that helps separate the kind of uranium they need and the kind they don't need. Because the particular isotope of uranium that's used to build a bomb, there's very little of it in your average chunk of uranium. So they have to remove the other stuff to get to that little bit they need. And once they've enriched it enough, they can build a bomb. I mean, you don't have to enrich it nearly as far for a reactor, but for a bomb, you need it really enriched. They say they don't want a nuclear bomb, but let's be real. Iran wants a bomb. Why else would they be gunning for it this hard? To get a nuclear program. But not only that, there's also mourners and protesters in Iran. I mean, why would you mourn this monster? But apparently some people liked him, including some of our very own Democrats, but I'll get to that later. And then there's the Iraqis are mad too because the assassination happened on their soil. And now Iraq voted very narrowly to expel U.S. troops from the country, but that doesn't actually mean anything because Iran lacks the manpower and the military to kick U.S. troops out of Iraq. But they were the ones who invited U.S. back in 2014 to fight ISIS after they took over a third of its territory. Rather, after ISIS took over a third of Iraq's territory. But, I mean, they haven't rescinded their offer yet, and they've rescinded their invitation, and so it's up to Trump to either go along with it or not. And he says he'll only go along with it, the main condition that, before he'll even consider it, is that they got to pay the U.S. back for the multi-billion-dollar base on Iraqi soil. I mean, that's several $billion in tax dollars. I mean, we can't just give that up so easily. He wants some kind of compensation for it, which I think is a good idea because it took a lot of money to build, so we should get some money back for it. Also, we used to think of border patrol as just stopping drugs and human traffickers across the border. Apparently, they also stop meat because Mexico's meat standards are not quite up to where the U.S.'s are, and therefore there's a risk of like swine flu and other animal-borne illnesses from eating Mexican meat, which is why the Border Patrol tends to stop bologna from crossing the border because bologna's crap anyway. I mean, it's like the leftover garbage from the pig thrown made into tubes, and so it's bad enough for you if it meets American standards of what's considered food. It's even worse if it only meets Mexican standards. And so, not only do they have to get rid of the U.S. have to destroy drugs brought in from Mexico, you also got to destroy the meat. I mean, the U.S. isn't like an angel when it comes to the food standards. So there's some foods in the U.S. that are illegal in Europe because the European Union's food regulations are a little more strict than in America, which I think is kind of funny. And then back to domestic news. That's where we've gone international news to international/domestic to now domestic firmly. The impeachment trial is supposed to take place this month, but not even sure if that'll happen because because Nancy Pelosi still won't send the articles of impeachment to the Senate until she gets the terms she wants. That's not exactly legal though, because and they should know that for a party that claims they love the Constitution so much now, even though previously they claimed it was the oppressive document written by old white guys who are racist, they should know that the Constitution says that the Senate has firm control over how the trial itself for impeachment is conducted. The House gets no say. But you gotta admire Nancy Pelosi's chutzpah in demanding her way. Really, I think that that McConnell should just hold the trial anyway, and with or without Nancy Pelosi's permission. Really, he's waiting on her to appoint managers, which are the prosecutors, but he won't. But she won't do that until she gets the terms she wants. So McConnell should be like, all right, let's hire independent counsel. And it's kind of hypocritical for her to demand that they call witnesses for the Senate trial, given that she didn't allow witnesses for the House trial. Next up, the popular app TikTok, which I'll put my in the description of this video. I'll put my TikTok handle, Tutor Wizard, there, so you can follow me on TikTok as well. But I also, TikTok now is becoming a main big area to drive up political support for presidential candidates. Not because there's political ads there, but because TikTok has actually banned political ads. But it's because the users themselves are creating political content, and I'm one of those users. So I create pro-Trump content. I've seen a lot of other pro-Trump content and anti-Trump. And so about 70% of TikTok's users are voting age. The other 30% are under 18. And so that means that there's actually a lot of potential for advertising for political causes on TikTok. And yeah, I've seen tons of videos advertising for that. So and so obviously Democrats are concerned about it because it's a good way for Trump supporters to say their piece and get their vote out there. So, or get their voice out there, rather. Then, as I said before, there's U.S.-Iran tensions now are soared upwards. Europe, who's been trying to save the Iran deal ever since Trump became president and got us out of the deal. Thank God he did that. They're trying to talk with both Tehran and Washington on calming things down, like telling Iran to go back to the deal, the U.S. to re-enter it. And the U.S. and Iran will have none of it. The U.S. this is a crappy deal in the first place. Iran's they blew us up. They blew up our guy, ignoring the fact that they blew us. That guy blew up a lot of our guys first. So Soleimani had it coming. Yeah, I won't be surprised. I've seen a lot of World War III memes among them. I mean, breaking news: France surrenders. Already. I wouldn't be surprised if I woke up and saw France surrendering. And one more thing before you go to the op-ed section. Chocolate may soon spike in price because Ivory Coast and Ghana which control 60% of the world's chocolate production. They're thinking about creating their own version of OPEC because OPEC is an oil cartel and they're responsible for keeping oil prices high, and cartels are illegal under trade law, and so they're thinking about creating a chocolate cartel, which would raise prices quite a bit for chocolate because it would be a boost for those countries because their systems could prosper more from the influx of money, but it'd be more expensive, and people in other countries may not be too keen on that. Maybe us start invading countries that have chocolate instead of just countries that have oil. Maybe. Then over at the op-ed section, though, there's one titled that the Senate knows enough to acquit Trump. As I said, Nancy Pelosi has been somewhat hypocritical and unconstitutional herself in how she's demanded the trial to be conducted, but also, Mitch McConnell has the authority to just start the trial himself. And the Senate, Trump wasn't indicted on any criminal charges. He was indicted on abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. Now, here's what each of those mean. The abuse of power is that's his dealings with the Ukrainian president, but according to the Constitution and the Supreme Court, the president, the foreign policy, that's all the president. The president, the Senate declares war and votes on treaties, but really, the president is the sole part of the government that deals with foreign policy because the president is the embodiment of America and the head of the American government and the head of state, and therefore he's the guy that negotiates with other countries. So it's totally cool if Trump's negotiating with Ukraine and maybe playing hardball. He says there was no quid pro quo, but even if there was, it's just hardball politics. Every president has done that. It's you're not even the U.S. president if you don't muscle around other countries, it seems like. And then obstruction of Congress means it's sort of a the Congress itself is borderline on getting rid of separation of powers rules, because according to separation of powers, because they're trying to infringe on what the president is doing by subpoenaing him, and Trump's declared executive privilege, and they don't like that. Finally, there's the last op-ed is entitled "The Democrats in Iran," written by none other than Joe Lieberman, oddly enough, and he's saying why can't my fellow Democrats admit that killing Soleimani was a good thing? Because the most common response to this far has been yes, but tensions rise. Yes, but Soleimani wasn't that bad. Yes, but this is going to cause World War III. And they think that Trump should have notified him first before talking to Congress. That hasn't happened since World War II. World War II is the last time that Congress actually declared war on a country. Every other time, the U.S. has been in 5 major wars. Count them: Korea, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, Afghanistan, and Iraq since World War II. None of them declared war. The UN authorized U.S. intervention in Korea, and Congress granted Truman police powers, quote unquote. That's about it. Vietnam, pretty much entire there was some congressional authorization of military action, but never an official declaration of war for Johnson to go into Vietnam. And then every other time it was just the president doing it himself. So, sometimes I think Persian Gulf had a little UN intervention, but still no congressional authority whatsoever. So legally, based on law and precedent, Trump's totally justified in his attack on Iran, and he should have done it long ago anyway, because Trump, or the U.S. as a whole rather, should have done it long ago, because Iran's been killing U.S. people and taking hostage since at least the 70s. I'm not sure why Carter didn't. Well, why not? Because Carter was weak-willed and he lacked a spine. That's why we haven't had a war with Iran yet, or rather an official war. But Lieberman also brings up the point of the quote, "Politics stops at the water's edge," which is the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee in Congress around the time when Truman was president. That guy, the chairman is a Republican, Truman is a Democrat. However, they work closely together to build the post World War II world where America dominated. And when this guy was asked why are you working so close with Truman? He's a Democrat, you're a Republican. He said, "Politics stops at the water's edge." I mean, we can he said we can fight all we want. Basically we can fight all we want inside our own borders over policy, but on foreign policy stuff, we got to be united. Otherwise, they're not going to take us seriously. And yeah, if the country can't agree, then the country speaks with less authority. If Trump's saying this is a good idea and half the country say no, it's terrible, then he sort of loses some of his credibility there, because a bunch of the country saying he's an idiot for doing it. But it was a good idea to take out Soleimani. Far from actually leading to war, it could actually prevent war, because it shows that Trump's strong enough and confident enough to take on Iran and tell them to stay where they belong, if you know what I mean. Then war might actually be less likely, because Iran may take Trump seriously, and so will other people like Kim Jong-un. I kind of wonder if Kim Jong-un peed his pants when he heard about Soleimani being killed. He's you know what, maybe we should not build a bomb. And he was the one who threatened a Christmas present, quote unquote Christmas present. And I'm thinking maybe he gave it up, which is obviously a good thing. But maybe he decided against it when he saw that Soleimani get blown up. That's all I got for you in this episode of Page Research Box. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great daily content. Also, remember, I will put my TikTok handle in the description of this video, so make sure to check that out.